Rapunzel, Part 1. Rapunzel, Part 1. Once upon a time, a man and a woman lived in a very small house near a dark and quiet forest. They were kind and gentle people, but they were also very poor. They did not have much money, and sometimes they did not even have enough food. Still, they loved each other very much and tried to live a peaceful life. The woman was going to have a baby soon. Because of this, she often felt tired and weak. She liked to sit by the window and look outside. From her window, she could see a beautiful garden next to their house. The garden was full of green plants, colorful flowers, and fresh vegetables. It looked like a magical place. But the garden did not belong to them. It belonged to a powerful witch who lived nearby. Everyone in the village knew that nobody was allowed to enter her garden. People were afraid of her, so they stayed far away. One day, the woman looked out of the window and saw a special plant growing in the witch's garden. It was bright green and looked very fresh and delicious. The moment she saw it, she felt a strong desire to eat it. She did not know why, but she wanted that plant more than anything else. Every day she looked at it, and every day her desire grew stronger. Soon, she became pale, sad, and weak. She could not think about anything except the plant. Her husband became very worried. He loved his wife and wanted to help her. If she does not eat that plant, he thought, she will become very sick. Finally, he said to himself, I must get that plant for her. I know it is dangerous, but I cannot let her suffer. That night, when the sky was dark and the witch was not around, the man climbed over the high wall into the witch's garden. His heart was beating fast because he was scared, but he moved quickly. He picked some of the green plant and ran back home. His wife ate it immediately, and she felt much better. Her face became brighter, and she smiled again. But the next day she wanted more. Her desire was even stronger than before. She begged her husband to get more of the plant. The man did not want to go back, but he loved his wife too much to refuse. So that night, he climbed over the wall again. This time, the witch was waiting for him. "How dare you steal from my garden?" she shouted angrily. Her voice was loud and frightening. The man froze in fear. He tried to explain everything. He told her that his wife was going to have a baby and needed the plant to feel better. He begged her to forgive him. The witch looked at him for a long moment. Then she said, I will let you take the plant again, but you must give me your baby when it is born. The man was terrified. He did not want to give away his child, but he also knew the witch was powerful. He had no choice. With a heavy heart, he agreed. A few months later, the baby girl was born. The witch came to their house immediately. She took the baby away without hesitation. She named the child Rapunzel. Rapunzel grew into a beautiful young girl with long golden hair that shone like sunlight. When she was 12 years old, the witch decided to hide her away from the world. She took Rapunzel deep into the forest and locked her in a tall tower. The tower had no door and no stairs. There was only one window at the very top, and Rapunzel could not leave. Every day, the witch visited her. She stood under the window and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel would let her long hair fall out of the window, and the witch climbed up to the room. Rapunzel lived alone in the tower. She had no friends and no one to talk to. To feel less lonely, she sang beautiful songs that echoed through the forest. If you like this story, please click a like. It helps me a lot. And if you want more easy English stories, you can subscribe. Thank you for learning with me. Rapunzel. Part 2. Rapunzel lived alone in the tall tower for many years. Her only visitor was the witch, who came every day to check on her. Rapunzel did not know anything about the world outside the forest. She had never walked on a road, never seen a village, and never spoken to anyone except the witch. Sometimes she felt very sad and lonely, but she tried to stay hopeful. She sang songs to make herself feel better, and her voice was so beautiful that even the birds stopped to listen. One afternoon, while Rapunzel was singing, a young prince was riding through the forest. He was exploring the area because he loved adventure. When he heard Rapunzel's voice, he stopped his horse and listened carefully. The song was soft and sweet, and it sounded full of emotion. The prince wondered who could sing so beautifully in such a quiet and hidden place. He followed the sound until he reached the tall tower. He looked around but saw no door, no stairs, and no way to enter. He was confused. How can someone live up there? He thought. He wanted to call out, but he was afraid he might scare the singer. So he decided to come back the next day. The next morning the prince returned and hid behind a tree near the tower. After a short time, he saw the witch walking toward the tower. She stood under the window and shouted, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel let her long golden hair fall out of the window, and the witch climbed up like she had done many times before. The prince watched everything with surprise. He now understood how the witch entered the tower. When the witch left, later that day, the prince waited until she was far away. Then he walked to the tower and stood under the window. He took a deep breath and called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel heard the voice, but it sounded different from the witch's voice. She was confused, but she let her hair down anyway. When the prince climbed into the room, Rapunzel stepped back in fear. She had never seen a young man before. But the prince spoke gently and kindly. He told her he had heard her singing and wanted to meet her because her voice was so beautiful. Rapunzel slowly relaxed. She realized the prince was friendly and honest. They talked for a long time, and Rapunzel felt happy for the first time in many years. The prince visited her every day after that. They shared stories, laughed together, and became very close. After some time, they fell in love. The prince wanted to take Rapunzel away from the tower so she could live freely. They made a plan to escape. The prince said he would bring a piece of cloth each time he visited. Rapunzel would tie the pieces together to make a long rope. When the rope was finished, she would climb down and leave the tower forever. But one day, everything went wrong. The witch discovered their plan. She arrived earlier than usual and saw the prince climbing down the tower. She became furious. She rushed into the room and shouted at Rapunzel. The witch grabbed a pair of scissors and cut off Rapunzel's long golden hair. Then she sent Rapunzel far away into a lonely desert where she would be completely alone. Later that day, the prince returned to the tower. He called, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The witch let down the cut hair which she had kept. The prince climbed up, expecting to see Rapunzel. But when he reached the window, he saw the witch instead. She told him he would never see Rapunzel again. The prince was so shocked and heartbroken that he fell from the tower. He landed on the ground and hurt his eyes badly. He became blind and wandered through the forest for many months. He lived by eating wild berries and drinking water from streams. He felt lost and sad, but he never stopped thinking about Rapunzel. One day, after a long time, he reached the desert. He heard a familiar voice singing softly. It was Rapunzel. She ran to him and hugged him tightly. She cried tears of joy, and her tears fell on his eyes. Suddenly, the prince could see again. They were both amazed and grateful. The prince took Rapunzel back to his kingdom, where they were welcomed with happiness and celebration. They lived together in peace and love for the rest of their lives. If you like this story, please click like. It helps me a lot. And if you want more easy English stories, you can subscribe. Thank you for learning with me.